today we have with us Mr. KH Athouba, who is the spokesperson of COCOMI, which is a conglomerate of civil society groups and have been working with several ethnic groups in Manipur and in northeastern states. So today we'll be speaking with him regarding the situation in Imphal, in Manipur, and what is the way ahead following the clashes, the violence that broke out on 3rd of May. Welcome to ThePrint, sir.
So talking about the situation in Manipur at the moment, there are still episodes of violence that we are seeing. Firing still continues. The police has to resort to several measures like tear gas, even firing to get the crowd under control. What is your assessment of how long is it going to take, before the normalcy begins, and both Meiteis and Kukis, how much time will it take for them to come together on the table to basically negotiate or start any sort of peace process?
I think I don't think we can. I can have a particular set of time where I can say that we can start from this time. But it depends on the security measures to be taken up by the government, both at the state and the center. Because we have been appealing and requesting the concerned security officials that over the past 2 months which we have experienced, we feel that if the provocations or the kind of intimidations that has been periodically carried out by the Kuki militants from across the periphery hill areas, if we are able to control that, then I think at least we can have a sense of normalcy where encounters or violent confrontations between the two villages will stop. Meitei villages had come out in several local TV channels appealing that now it is the time for them to work on the field because it's the rainy season and maximum of the farmers are working in the paddy fields. So it is high time for them to work in the field right now. Otherwise, it will be very late. And if they are not able to work it on time, then their harvest will be affected, and it will again suffer the whole coming years. So as they are willing to work on the field as soon as possible, we are also waiting for a moment where no further provocations or shooting from across the villages being done further. If that situation is being able to be created by the security personnel's deployment properly, pushing them a little further from the side of the farmers, from the local villagers, then we are hopeful that we can have a sense of normalcy. And once that is being established, then I hope there won't be any further kind of agitations or movement in the valley areas also. Then we can give some time to all those affected peoples, to all those displaced peoples, where we can start working out for their settlements, for their returning to their normal lives. And if that happens, then both sides of the party can again start initiating for a first line of communications as to how from where we start to rectify or to work on to restore normalcy. So I think that will be important.
So what comes across as a very dangerous trend is also the fact that when violence started from May 3rd onwards, after that a few weeks later, a lot of local people went on a rampage and looted armories from police lines, from police stations, from the Manipur Training College, and those arms are yet to be surrendered to the authorities. In fact, when Home Minister Amit Shah had visited Manipur recently, he had also appealed to everybody to return those ammunition, because these are sophisticated weapons. These are AK-47, snipers, automatic rifles. So what is your sense? Why is it that the disarming of people in the valley, in Imphal, becoming such a difficult task for the state police or security forces? And do you and other groups who are working with the people, with the Meiteis in Imphal, appealing to them or counseling them on how to go about it? Because there is definitely a sense of fear that we can sense on the ground. But what are these groups doing to ensure that these arms are returned?
I think it carries the same sense of the Meitei farmers willing to work on the field, yet they are not in a position to work right now. Why? Because there is a sense of insecurities that they could be, shoot out, shoot down. They could be killed. They could be intimidated from time to time. In the same light, when they snatched this weapon, it was out of insecurities, and it was very much natural instinct for everyone that if their villages, their families, their homes are being threatened and attacked, then they will be trying to use all possible means they have to defend themselves. And we have a sense that even though the weapons are out in the valley in a huge number, we don't sense any sort of this could be any sort of threat to the internal security or national security of the country, because nobody is a criminal who are snatching those weapons. Those were all local volunteers from the vulnerable villages whose houses being burned down, whose villages being burned down, whose families being attacked. So once the government is able to restore or rebuild the sense of securities and confidence to the people, and any sort of violent attacks don't continue or don't happen further in future, then I don't think that nobody wants to sleep with an illegal arms at home, because Manipur had already experienced a very bad situation in the previous time, so nobody wants to do that. So no civilians will want to sleep with AK-47 at home. It will be a terror for them. Therefore, we feel that once the government of India and the state government is able to restore some sense of securities to the people, then definitely all arms will be automatically returned to their respective places. I feel so.
There is also a sense that the state machinery has completely collapsed in Manipur, looking at the situation on the ground. And President's rule is, a lot of people, they were talking about President's rule, that it should be imposed, and this is the time when center should take over, the forces should take over and ensure that normalcy is brought back to Manipur. What is your sense of it, and what are the local people, what do they want?
I think yesterday we have witnessed a dramatic scenario at the gate of the Chief Minister's bungalow. Because of the uncontrolled mob and so many rampages and so many violent activities happening in the valley area, Chief Minister even decided that he couldn't do enough, so he better retire or be resigned from the post, so that, as you suggested, the center take control over the all law and order situations. But the general population had a feeling, even our organizations, COCOMI, had a feeling that it will be more wise and more fulfilling if the present crisis is being resolved through a democratic means, under the responsibility of a democratically elected government. Manipur had experienced tens of president rules over the past 50 years' time. And no president rules moment ever ended in a very good and very conducive way. It always ended in a violent and a very disturbing way. So we don't trust in the direct control of the law and order and administration by the center. Above that, the central leaders and the central government don't understand the local context of Manipur. They don't understand the communities, their socio-cultural and historical backgrounds. So we need someone who understands all the feelings, all the emotions, all the social fabrics that existed in Manipur for ages. So the popular government that we have is very much responsible to resolve it. Therefore, president rules or any form of animated suspension or any kind of thing, that will not work out here in Manipur. It's a different state, it's a different society, quite different from New Delhi and other states of India. So we need one leader from the local, who is the chief minister right now, who has also initiated several projects and missions to rectify the past mistakes and the irregularities that we are having. So I think question of president rules and any form of direct control by the New Delhi is not feasible in Manipur. It would be rather better if the existing government, coordinate and cooperate with everyone and try to work out some positive measures, understanding the situation and the local context of the state. Yeah.
Right. My last question to you briefly, if you could tell us the way forward. Like you mentioned that there were 3 things that the Chief Minister worked on which are completely essential for the state of Manipur for its integrity going ahead. So if you could tell us what are those 3 things and what is the way forward now, because it cannot go on like this. This situation has to be resolved at the earliest, because till now a lot of damage has already been done.
The recent violent incident that we experienced is a deliberate, preemptive, well strategically planned, carried out by the narco-terrorist groups from across the border in coordination with the local narco-terror syndicate groups belonging to the Kuki communities in Manipur. And we already had established enough evidence and records and data, both by the government and as well as by the people, that this is an act of terrorism, this is an act of narco-terrorist assertion and aggression. Therefore, these are all the product of the mistakenly initiated policy by the government of India under the militancy appeasement policy, which they call it suspension of operation, where several leaders belongs to Myanmar. The groups are also from Myanmar. How could the government of India invite anyone from Myanmar, militant groups to come into India and have a political dialogue? And we are also experiencing overwhelmed and unaccountable number of illegal immigrants being influxed inside the state of Manipur. Unaccounted and unexpected explosion of villages, Kuki villages in Manipur. Massive deforestation and destroying of the whole hill forest environment in Manipur by the Kuki illegal immigrants. And the never-ending drug traffickings, drugs worth 1,000 crores being trafficked from across the border. If we don't resolve, or if we don't contain or control this situation, the current crisis is not going to be the last. It will again recoil and it will again come up again, because they are mobilizing funds, they are building powers, they are building populations, they are dominating areas. So this has to be first handled firmly, both by the center and the state. Otherwise, Manipur is at the brink of emerging a new golden triangle, which will not only destroy the state of Manipur, but the entire states of the country, where every youth will be impacted from the drugs manufactured and brought in, exported, distributed from Manipur, Kuki dominated areas. So it is a very alarming situation now. The whole country, the whole state chief ministers, the neighboring countries, and the entire international community should converge together in India, support the Indian government, and work out as soon as possible to uproot this narco-terror establishment in the territory of Manipur, which is very alarming, and this will be the new wave of another golden triangle in the entire globe.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking with ThePrint, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.